What is up? So if you're here watching this video, then you're falling under one of two categories, right? You are either going to be a beginner that's searching around the world of YouTube and free information, trying to find the best free information that can help you from point A to point B. Point A being a complete beginner, point B being a professional trader. Now, that's scenario number one. Scenario number two as to why you're watching this is because you have already traded before and you've already experienced losing money to the markets and experienced maybe even blowing accounts. And what I want you to know is that I've been both of those places. Of course, there was a time that I didn't know how to trade. I was a beginner and I had to learn the steps, right? With that maybe where you are now. And also there was a time that I was consistently losing money and even blowing accounts before I became a professional trader. And the lessons I'm going to teach you in this video are going to help you, or they're the same lessons that help me overcome the hurdles and get to a place of consistent, profitable trading. So I think they're going to be lessons that can help you do the same exact thing. And the title of this video really says it all. Don't trust anyone, including me. I'll tell you more about that after the intro and disclaimer. So if you're new to the Forex market and you want to get your hands on free education, we have some links in the description. Also, subscribe to be alerted when we come out with other videos like this. Click that like button for me. Follow us on the socials. Links are in the description. And I'll see you guys directly after the intro and disclaimer. See you soon. Welcome back. So let me go ahead and explain a little bit about what today's video is going to be. At the beginning, I'm going to go through why you should not be blindly trusting a mentor, even if you're paying them, even if it's me, even if you're just watching them for free on YouTube, no matter what. A mentor or a guru that's teaching you how to trade, you can't blindly trust them. We're going to explain that. One of the biggest lessons that helped me overcome the hurdle of losing money was understanding that I can't blindly trust people because they don't have the same mindset I have, right? And also, after that, I'm actually going to break down the top 5 major pairs. We're going to go over our analysis from last week, talk about what's happened since then, and give you what I think is coming in the future for the top 5 major pairs. So let's begin like this. Most traders, whenever they either hire a guru, a mentor, they hire someone to help them on their trading journey, or just wandering around YouTube, they find someone they like and they trust, then they take that information and instead of taking a mentor's advice, there's a big difference between blindly trusting someone and listening to them and taking their advice. Taking their advice is totally fine, whether it's from me or someone else you watch for free here on YouTube, or someone, let's say, that you're paying for mentorship. It's totally fine to take their advice, right? If they tell you that an entire strategy, an entire rules-based strategy that they use and have used for years to make money in the market, I'm not saying that they're wrong. And I'm not saying that you can't take that advice and listen to them. What I'm saying is you should not blindly trust anyone, including me. And here's the reason. If you take something that I say and you blindly trust that it works, and you go out into the markets and you use it, let's say I tell you to always trade at a support level or always go short at resistance levels, and you just go out and blindly start trading that, you have no proof. You are literally just throwing money away. You're throwing, for lack of a better term, shit at the wall and hoping that it sticks. And that's not going to create a professional trading career. The way you take the blindfold off, instead of blindly trusting someone and just take their advice, is when someone tells you something, become a tester, become a mad scientist and test everything that someone tells you. And this is something I instill in traders, especially in the EAP Training Program, in the mentorship program we have. I tell them from the very beginning, look, take the advice I'm giving you with a grain of salt until you actually take and test it in the markets. So I live by this in my own coaching programs. I live by this in my own trading. If I go out here and I find a strategy I like that someone else is using, I don't just take and start trading it. Most traders do. That's what leads to a lot of traders blowing accounts. And if it's something that's been hurting your trading, leave a comment below and let me know. Because what I see from a lot of the traders that come through the program we have, and something that I struggled with myself, is that traders end up going through the program that they're in, not even ours, going through a different program, blindly trusting the strategy without ever testing it, without ever trusting it for themselves. I don't know if you know what I mean. It's better to trust yourself than it is to trust someone else. And if you go out and test something that someone tells you, that creates trust in you, which is going to create confidence, and that's going to be how you deal with drawdowns down the road. Whenever you become a professional trader, the way you're going to deal with drawdowns is by trusting yourself and trusting what you're trading. And in order to do that, you can't just take somebody's word for it. That's not going to create the trust you need to battle through those drawdowns. So again, with traders, a lot of times what they do is they find a guru they like and they just start blindly trading based on what that guru said. And not to mention the fact that, let me start like this. The entire reason I wanted to do this video is because I was watching a trading tutorial from another guru, another mentor, another guy online that was teaching how to trade. And I'm not going to name names or anything like that, but he was talking in very vague terminology. And there were people on there that on this live call he had that were starting to ask questions he didn't know the answer to. And instead of telling them the answer, he would say, it just comes with experience. It just comes with experience. And that's totally fine. But what happens is the half the traders that were on this call, after the call, probably went out and started trading blindly based on this guy's methods. And that's something that resonated with me so well, because that's something I'm so scared of, not only for you, but something I dealt with in the beginning of my trading career, was just going out here and blindly trading based on these strategies. And something that really irked me was that this guy was showing only winning trades of the strategy and claiming it was like a 90% win rate, and then showing you a chart that was trending, right? All it was doing was trending. He was showing you a piece of a chart that was just trending the whole time. And that is a surefire signal that you don't need to necessarily blindly trust that person. I'm not saying the strategy was wrong or that the guy was lying. I have no idea. I'm not going to use the strategy, so I didn't go out and test it myself. But if I was going to use that specific strategy, I wouldn't take that guy's word blindly and just go out here and start trading it, which is what he was actually suggesting people do as well, which is a whole nother conversation. Also a very terrible thing to do. But don't take anyone's word for the profitability of a system or strategy they're trading, or even the kind of technical analysis they do. You can test different versions of technical analysis as well. You can test how many times price reacts to resistance levels throughout historical data. How many times has that happened? And at this point, I'm rambling a bit. That's one of the biggest lessons that helped me get past the point of losing money in the Forex market, was understanding that I needed to test everything and trust no one. Again, taking advice from a mentor is totally different than blindly trusting them. And what I'm asking you to do is to not blindly trust anyone here on YouTube, anyone that you're paying for education. Don't blindly trust them. Become a mad scientist. Test the information they tell you for yourself. Again, this is something I instill in every person that goes through our programs in the very beginning. In the very beginning, they know not to blindly trust everything, but instead to go test it for themselves. That's one of the biggest lessons I wanted you to know and wanted to teach you in this video. I hope it resonates, and I hope you actually take it and use it. Beyond that, we are going to take a look at last week's analysis and how that analysis has played out this week on the top 5 major pairs. So last week, I'll show you a video, actually a video clip of the euro dollar from last week right now. So check that out and I'll be right back. With this being another scenario. So with another scenario being the market breaks through this level of structure right here, because if that's the case, then this black line you see is going to be an area I look for a pullback and a shorting opportunity from. But let's go ahead and move on with the... So this may be a little bit hard to see, but on the euro dollar, as you saw in that clip, we had an estimation that this market, if we broke and closed below this area of support, our green line, then we could potentially see a pullback back into this zone right here. And from that zone, we would be looking for a possible shorting opportunity out of the euro dollar. As you can see right here, that's exactly what happened. And although this doesn't look like much on a daily chart, in trades like this, I normally look for around 100 pips. And this trade itself moved about 150. So this was actually a 150 pip drop from the point that we recognized last week in last week's analysis. And really, at this point, the only thing we're going to do is remove this line. Nothing else has changed here on the euro dollar. If we have a couple of different scenarios now. At this point, it looks like we have this double bottom here. We could possibly see this market push up. When that happens, if that happens, we're going to look for that push up to come into our previous resistance level here, and we'll be looking at 1.1211 for possible shorting opportunities here on the euro dollar. Beyond that, if we break above that level, we'll be looking at 1.1280 for the next level of possible resistance out of the euro dollar. Now, if we push down on this pair, our support level from last week still exists around 1.0858. That's a level we'll be looking for possible long opportunities, counter trend, because this is a market that's in a downtrend at the moment. So as a counter trend play, that's going to be an area we take a look at, and we'll have to scroll the chart back because I always like having two areas. We talked about that last week. That video will be in the description as well if you didn't see it, but I like having two separate areas of resistance and two separate areas of support that I'm paying attention to. And at this point, what I'm seeing is another area of support right in here. I'm pointing that out because we have two tests of resistance here in this area, and actually a third test right here, and that gives me the qualifications I need to call this a major level of support that I'll be looking for possible counter trend opportunities at that level. And I had a comment last week that levels aren't lines. I know that. I know these are zones. So this zone is going to be around the 1.0766 level. Get creative. It's a zone, not a line. So remember, this is going to be a box like this. And if we break past our 1.0858 level and get down to 1.076, then that's an area I'll be looking at for counter trend long opportunities out of the euro dollar. So next up, we have the dollar yen. Our prediction last week on this pair was that we were looking for this market to possibly break above our red zone. If we did, we would be looking for a pullback into that zone and another push higher. That's what we are still looking for. The analysis from last week on this pair is still relevant. So at this point on this pair, we're waiting for this market either to climb all the way up to 108.87. If we climb up to that level, it's a level I'll look for possible shorting opportunities from, trying to get about 100 pips out of this, maybe some trend continuation to the downside. We are in a downtrend overall, although we did just break above the 50-period moving average and we broke through this little level of consolidation, but overall still in a downtrend currently on this pair. And if we get that move, it's going to be an area I look for some possible, a large push down from the 108.87 level. Place I'll probably take like multiple targets on the trade, looking for that. And beyond that, if we go above that level and put another horizontal line at a level of possible resistance, looks like we're going to come in right in there. If we scroll this back, yeah, right there seems to be an area the market has respected multiple times in the past as support and as resistance. And it's going to be the next level that I pay attention to for possible shorting opportunities on the dollar yen. If we get up past 108.87, we have a long ways to go. And during this long ways to go, which is what I'm referring to it as, it's going to be an area I start looking for trend continuation plays on lower time frames, flag patterns and such, until we get up to 110.75. At 110.75 will be an area I look for possible short trades to the downside on the dollar yen. So moving on now to the next pair, which is going to be the Aussie dollar. On the Aussie dollar, we had an area of resistance pointed out last week, which is still intact. Right now, we're waiting to see what happens in this area for this market. We have a nice long wick candle here, and this area was at 0.6856. Again, these are zones, so that zone looks something like this, and this zone is currently holding as resistance. We'll see what happens going through the week. This is a zone I'm currently looking for possible short trades out of. What I'd really like to see, and I'll actually go down to an hourly chart and show you this. What I'd really like to see is this market break through our bottom line here. So if we can get a breakthrough this level of support and then a pullback into it, that will be a time I start looking for shorting opportunities on this particular trade, because we just bounced off a daily level of resistance. So if we're bouncing off a daily level of resistance and we get a nice 1, 2, 3 move to the downside, this first move down, after that, this pullback up, if it comes into this support level and gives me a candlestick pattern, such as a shooting star candle or something like that, that'll be an area I'm paying attention to in a trade that I will more than likely be taking here on the Aussie dollar. But other than that, last week's analysis, it remains exactly the same. We're at our resistance level. If we push above it, The next resistance we have is 0.6942. That's the next level I'll look for possible shorting opportunities. If the market falls, we'll be looking down here at 0.6679, and I'm not even going to discuss the level below this because there's no way we make it there without some kind of dramatic event within the next week or two. But those are the levels on the Aussie dollar I'm paying attention to. We'll move on now to the pound dollar. Pound dollar nearing the resistance level that we had for this pair last week. We still haven't quite got there. Remember, it's a zone. We have gotten into the zone though. So we've actually clipped our zone here on the pound dollar. We've had some movement to the downside. Let's see if it's been 100 pips. That's normally what I look for out of these zones. We've had about 96 pips at this point from our zone on the pound dollar. We can still look there, or at least I will still be looking there for possible resistance if we get another pullback up into that area, and for another possible trade to the downside. If we get above that area though, I'll be looking around 1.2489 for possible resistance. And if this market just suddenly drops, I'll be looking at our zone between 1.204 and 1.199 for possible long opportunities out of this pair. That's what I'll be looking for going into this week and next week on the pound dollar. Lastly, we have the dollar Swiss. On the dollar Swiss, we had this level pointed out at 0.9915 last week. This zone of resistance that started at 0.9929. We have seen some resistance out of that level so far this week. We'll see if that continues to play out. If it does, I'll be looking on lower time frames for possible trend continuation trades down to 0.9841 and 0.9816. In this zone will be an area I look for possible long trades. If the market pushes up and breaks our level we're currently sitting at, then I'll be looking for the 1.0 area and this zone in this area for possible shorting opportunities out of the dollar Swiss. And I really like this being an even handled number, being a 1, like 1.0. That's going to be a very significant place in this market, in my opinion. And it's a level I hope the market gets up to so I can get a possible shorting opportunity from that area. That's what I'll be paying attention to on the dollar Swiss. And that's all for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you got value from it. Be sure you're subscribed and click that like button. Check out links in the description for not only our paid programs, but also some other free education. Follow us on Instagram. I'm gonna do a post next week on Instagram, and I'm gonna ask you to comment your biggest struggle as a trader underneath that post. And then I'm gonna randomly select the winner to win for life every program we ever offer in the Forex trading industry. So if that's something you're interested in, follow us over on Instagram. The link for that is in the description. I hope you have a fantastic day. I hope you have a green week in the markets, and I will talk to you very soon.